Hello and welcome into the Founders Club. We are in the Founders Club live. That's right, we are a live show. I am your club president, Jeff Jarrett, and in the club today, we have a very special guest, okay, someone that I go way back with. We were just discussing in the pre-show that we're coming up on 10 years of something very cool that happened once upon a time 10 years ago. But if you are new here, let me introduce. Let me set up the scene here, what we got going, what you got yourself into here on the Founders Club. So the Founders Club is a place for people who want to start a brand, who are running their brand and want to get great ideas from others who have done it. We talk to people who have founded brands, so we're the Founders Club. So if you've started a brand, we're going to talk to you in here in the Founders Club. And really, all we want to do is we want to get all your good ideas. We just want to steal them. We just want to take all your good ideas. And so what I've found by talking to all of these awesome people is they are very willing to just share what they know. And so all we got to do is just ask them. So that's what we do here in the Founders Club. This is a community for those who are hustling and making things happen and starting a brand. So we're still early in the new year, 2024. So a lot of people are thinking, man, I wonder if I should start that side hustle, or if I should take my side hustle and go full time with it and all of that good stuff. Today, we're going to talk to someone who has built teams, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to, build a team. And so not every entrepreneurial endeavor involves a big team, but some do and some don't. But we're going to talk to a young man today. His name is Chris Campbell, and a friend of mine, and we go way back. And so, without any chit chat here and blabbing on, let's get the show started here. Welcome to the Founders Club.
You don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop, yeah.
Okay, so listen, if you are new here, we are a brand new podcast. We're just starting. This is actually our 10th episode. Okay, so in the world of podcasts, this is kind of a thing. So if I don't have the numbers memorized, but basically, hundreds of thousands, millions of podcasts are started every year, and only so many of them actually do a second episode, right? And people start off, oh, this will be so fun, and they're like, that wasn't for me, right? They never come back for episode 2. And then the kind of another milestone, in the podcast game is getting to episode 10. Very few episodes get to episode 10. Now, all the ones you've heard of, they have hundreds of episodes and they've been doing it for a long time. Those are the ones you've heard of. All the people you've never heard of, they don't make it to episode 10. So we're hustling here, but we are a brand new show, and we really, I say we, there's no we, it's just me. Okay. We is me. I really appreciate, all of the subscriptions, follow us, like us, subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. They all call it something different. But add us to the library, do all that good stuff, but find us on social. But now we are super excited because now we're on all the podcast platforms and we're publishing. So we go live. If you're new with us, we go live here on Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday at noon. But then what I'm doing is I'm going and editing the episodes and kind of tightening them up a little bit and then putting them out on your podcast platform. So Spotify, Apple, and all those great places will have the podcast specific version of the show. And we're up to episode 3 on that, so we'll get caught up there. But this is a quick plug to like, subscribe, share the show, jump in and be part of it. Again, this is a live show, so you can jump in the chat and let us hear from you. And the chat's already active. Congratulations on our 10th episode. Thank you, Brandon S., for that. And so jump in, be part of the show. But you know what? We've got a great guest today. His name is Chris Campbell. If you're just joining us, he is someone that I have worked with in the past. And you know what? Let's not wait any longer. Let's talk to Chris. Let's get him on the line here. Hey, there he is.
Hey, Joe. Hey, brother. How's it going?
Oh, you know what, Chris? I got the wrong name here. Let me update you. Here we go. We're gonna go Chris Campbell. Oh my gosh.
I do know her. That's a great person.
That's much more civilized. Sorry about that. Angela Lamb. We talked to Angela Lamb last week, and she told us. You know what she told us? This is a little. I'm telling you this in case you missed the last episode. I asked people like, what do you not know about their different people's profession? And she's in insurance, right? She's a farmer's rep. She said never call the 1-800 number. So like if I'm going to make a claim, I just Google, Allstate or whoever, I forget who I'm with. I think I'm Allstate. And then the number pops up, and you just click it. Okay. She said, never call that number. Always call like your local rep to see if your claim qualifies. Because once you call the 1-800 number, there's a claim automatically made, whether or not you end up doing it or not. And it's called a no pay claim. And she's like, it puts you in the system. And then if you need something in the future, they know there was an issue in the past, and whether or not you fixed it or not is always a question. So anyways, that's a little bonus tip for you there. So,
hey, I'll take any tip from her. She's a top pro in the industry. She knows what she's doing.
She does. So, well, let me ask you. So tell us a little bit. Give us the little 30-second elevator pitch of what Polarity Networks is, so that people have a little reference.
Okay, so just the simple terms, we're a design build network infrastructure company, meaning that we actually come in and look at a situation, then we basically engineer a solution for it, and then we go out and build it. And that's anywhere from like underground pathways, optical fiber, structured cabling, just network infrastructure. Now, I'm not an IT guy, so you don't want me touching your computer. But as far as the best analogy is, we pave the roads and the bridges that IT drives on.
So. Okay. So that's Polarity Networks. Very good, very good. Well, I've actually got some questions. I got some questions for you here. Apparently, we're going to get a little more fanfare, because the questions. Let me get them pulled up here. So let me ask you this. Tell us. I know. So you're into horses. You have horses, right? You still have. What's the stable look like these days?
So most of my life, it's a passion of mine. Now I'm down to 2. That's all I want right now. So I have 2 in the stable. Keep them out in Boyd, Texas. My parents have a farm out there, and that allows me to live in the city. So it works both ways. I've got a Tobiano paint quarter horse, and I have a Palomino quarter horse.
Okay.
My paint is going on almost 20 years, and my Palomino is about 18, and we ride all over the place.
Okay, so that takes us to our first question. Give me what's the wild horse adventure? I know you take these things everywhere. Give us a good horse story.
Oh my goodness, man! There's a ton of them. Of course, the older and fatter I get, I like to be a little more safe and have an easy ride. But back in the days, we'd do what we call brush popping. So we'd find a trail out in the middle of nowhere, and we would just blaze our own pathways, get up to the top of mesas and catch a good view, take them to the mountains, get them, all the way up there, and just get out and explore God's country on horseback. So
okay, very cool. Now I've seen you guys. If you don't know, okay, here's the thing: for people listening across the country or across the world, we're in Texas. Okay, so you might be able to tell by the cowboy hats here that we're that we're in Texas. But everyone that's not in Texas, when you ask them about Texas, they just think everybody's just rolling around on horses and just going through town on horses, which is, obviously that's really not the case, except my guest today actually is a guy who will roll around town on a horse. So talk a little bit about, going all the interactions that you have when you go, like in town on horseback.
Yeah, absolutely. So to even get into that, I kind of have to have the little front story here. So horses are my passion, but I live in the city and I run a technology business with my business partner. I have to give out his name, Reese Avery. He's probably watching. So hi, Reese.
Shout out to Reese.
Yes, but because being an entrepreneur, there's not a lot of saddle time, and I tried to find a way to balance that to where I could still ride my horses and get that time in, but still be husband, boss hole, daddy, all these other things that you got to be. And client of mine, he rides, and some other clients that I know, they ride. And so we just got to talking one day, and we're like, why don't we just get together? We don't play golf, nothing against it, but it's time away from the saddle. So why don't we get together and ride horses, and we can talk about business? So we kind of like formed this unofficial network group on horseback, just with other business owners that ride. And then the whole thing became, where do we ride, right? So one day I was sitting downtown Fort Worth. I looked up and there were some police officers sitting over there on horseback off
That's
Main, and I
cool.
was like, you know what? I'm kind of an ask forgiveness than permission type guy. So if the cops can do it, I mean, surely we can, right? We're not like we're a bunch of outlaws. So we just started riding. We've been doing this little over 10 years, I guess. And so we've a lot of training and all that involved. You can't just bring a pony into town. I mean, there's a lot of safety stuff that goes in, but we've done a lot of training over the years, and these horses are accustomed to city riding. So we kind of just formed this thing we call like the unofficially the Fort Worth businessmen, right? And yes, we've had some ladies riding it too. But what we do is we just get together, we ride through town, we tie up and eat lunch, like at the press. Can I throw out an endorsement? I guess
Yeah,
they
yeah.
built us some hitching posts. Uh,
Wait, hey, say that again. You cut out right there. Who are we shouting out?
oh, I was saying, is it okay if I throw out an endorsement? Because the Press Cafe here in Fort Worth
Oh,
built us
press.
some hitching posts.
Yes, Press Cafe.
So
Okay.
we tie up the horses and we eat lunch and put our contracts in our saddlebags, and we like to say we extend our conference room to the Trinity River, right? So we ride up in this, and it's a lot of fun. So we've taken a friend of mine and others and put it into doing business, and that's kind of a platform that's nice in that aspect. But then it gains a lot of attention. People are like, "What are these guys riding through Fort Worth?" And it's like, well, have you never been to Fort Worth? But
Y-
it's uh it's really cool because then it spurs on conversations, and I've met so many folks that I would have possibly never met before because of the horses.
Yes, Fort Worth is a very metropolitan place, very high tech and very cool, but also the heritage and the history is everywhere. And when you go down to down to the stockyards, and you see all those shots, and it's pretty cool to have that and to keep it alive. I think it's very much the community embraces that part of our city. So I think it's fun and it's cool and it's just kind of a Texas vibe.
Well, you're right. And we hear a lot about technology coming to Fort Worth. We hear about we're one of the fastest growing counties. We hear about all the tech stuff, but we don't hear a whole lot about folks that are just kind of keeping that culture alive, And so I know we're not the only ones that ride in Fort Worth. There's other folks that do, but it's just Fort Worth. Fort Worth is not Dallas, and it is a different feel. And we're just going to do this as long as we can until we can't.
Yeah. Nah, it's cool. You got to keep doing it. Got to keep doing it. Okay, so I got another horse question for you here. What is here? It is. What's the coolest? What's the best fictional horse or famous horse? It doesn't have to be fictional, I guess. But what's the coolest horse of all time?
Man, that's a tough one because there's a bunch.
There are.
I think they're just going to stay true to the culture and say, I mean, Roy Rogers' Trigger was pretty cool.
I was.
This
Yeah.
horse could probably break dance, you know.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, I didn't know. There's also a lot of like race horses, Secretariat, and all the different ones out. I can't think of all of them now. What was
Sure.
it? Seabiscuit, got a movie. So there's lots of famous ones. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think the showbiz horse is a good pick. All right, so tell us this. Give us the Chris Campbell most unusual or most memorable job that you've done throughout the years. What's the fun job you've had?
So in our line of work, um, we see a lot of crazy things. So I'll just say it like this. One would be we got brought into a meeting um, about doing some optical fiber work near wreckage from the Roswell crash, and we were to not look at or participate in touching any of that stuff. And
Okay.
then the task order contract was canceled shortly before we got a chance to go to said hangar. That was interesting to sit through an entire briefing on that. Um, that I've had one where switching gears to another thing. We were, been under buildings with you feel like you're tingling, and you look up and you're covered in black widow spiders, or it just you come out unbit somehow or unstung or whatever the
Wow.
deal is, and it's crazy. But no, we get to see a lot of aerospace, a lot of government stuff that's pretty cool, stuff that you want to go home and tell your buddies about, and you can't, and things you want to take
Mhm.
pictures of, you can't. You just got to go home with that good feeling, going, man, that was pretty cool what we just saw, and somewhere down the road, something that we're building over here helped save a piece of the world, I guess, or
Yeah.
take out bad.
Okay, so those are some of the wild like polarity ones. What about before polarity life? Other like what other jobs did you have like when you were a kid or something? Did you work in fast food or what's the kind of a? Did you have any fun jobs like that?
Man, growing up as a kid, I grew up on a farm, and so when we're miles from town, so there really wasn't anywhere that I could go work fast food before I had like a driver's license. So we just always hauled hay. It was the farm jobs, right? Just hauling hay, stacking hay, and that's how we made our money. And then we'd make money and then find a way to, well, back to horses. I'd always saddle up this little gray thoroughbred that we had, and I'd ride her all the way to the firecracker stand, and we'd buy fireworks like at Fourth of July or whatever, and then I'd make it all the way into town and get some like at Allsup's, and I'd get like a, Dr. Pepper and some tater wedges and a burrito, and I'd ride all day all the way back home. I mean, that's just me and that horse saving the world, just on the back roads in the
Yeah.
country. It's
Oh
just
no,
that's what we did.
that's fun.
A
Okay,
lot of
no that.
chores,
What's that?
just a lot of chores.
Oh
Sometimes
right.
we got paid for it, sometimes we didn't.
Chores. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. I remember the first job that I had that was not like a manual labor, working with my dad, construction kind of thing. I did when I was really young. But I worked at this place called Fry's Electronics, and some places have it, some
Hmm.
places don't. Oh yeah, get that light on you there. There you go.
Hmm.
So I worked, but I didn't work for Fry's. I worked for this vendor who had a setup in there, and it was a simulator, and it was like this big box that you got in. It was a two seater, one or two seats, and it was and you got in. It had like a screen in front of you, and you could either select one or two. You could be in a roller coaster, which is like a futuristic roller coaster, or you could be on an airplane ride, like a jet, a jet ride, and what it was is you would select it and you had to pay for it, right? So it wasn't free, and I think it was like $8 or something. It was kind of like expensive to ride on this thing. You had to be it was like a 5-point harness. You had to get strapped in, like locked in. That was my job to make sure people got locked in, because what it is, it had a barrel roll. Depending on which one you selected, it had either two barrel
Oh
rolls,
wow.
or the fighter jet one had three barrel rolls during the course of it. And so it was the first like simulator that went upside down, and it kind of moved around and did a whole thing. And even when no one was in it, they would ask me like to demo it so that people could see it moving around and go, "Oh, what is that? Let me ride that thing." And it was the year that it was during a Christmas break is when I worked it, and it was the year when Mariah Carey's song first came out, "All I Want for Christmas Is You." So that song just ran
Hmm.
like on a loop. So I just got like 8 hours a day of just that of that song. Because I worked right across from this main thing that had like all these TV screens like all stitched together to make one giant screen. Before now technology you can make that kind of stuff a lot easier. But back in the day you had to put like a bunch of TVs together. And but I remember the guy was like, the first day I did it, he was wondering, I didn't know how much I was supposed to sell, and I had sold like, I don't know, maybe like 12 or 14 rides like all day. And then he came in and he was like, "Hey, how'd you do today?" And I told him, and he was freaking out. And I thought that was like super low. And he was like, "No, that's the most anyone's ever sold. I've never had that many in one day." So he was like super excited about it. So that was actually my first sales job. I didn't even know it was a sales job, but I would, sell people on it. "Oh, what is this?" And I had to talk him into it because of cost. It wasn't free, So I'd say, "Oh yeah, it goes upside down. It's like so cool." So that was my first job that I actually like, got paid, that taxes were taken out. Let's say that. Not, it wasn't for cash, but Fry's Electronics, the upside down flight simulator. But yeah, all
That's
right.
cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I thought it was cool. I mean, I only worked it for like 2 weeks of Christmas break, and then after that, that was it. But I thought I was cool at the time. All right, so all
A
right,
job that one of my
yeah.
first that I ever got like taxes taken out of was a place out north of Decatur. We were packing parachutes for skydivers.
Oh gosh.
And here I am, like in high school, and it's paying money, and they give you a little course how to pack parachutes. I mean, this is people's lives, right? And here I am, this young guy packing these 9 cell Sabre 160 canopies and brake toggles, and these guys are jumping out and doing crazy stuff. And it was just one of those things. I'd say a little prayer, every time I pack one. Please
Oh my
open.
goodness. Yeah, how would you live with yourself if one of the chutes that you packed didn't open? Some guy
I mean, there's a reserve chute, but still, yes, I know
yep.
it was crazy.
No, yeah, but still. Wow. I figured it was yeah, you would think that would be like the most professional seasoned person will do that. They just got some kid just like, "Oh yeah, yeah, put it." I assume there
But
was a
I'll
method
tell you,
to it. There was a
I
way
paid
like a way to
attention.
do it.
Oh yeah, you had to fold them a certain way. What got crazy is when you'd have the advanced guys like the Golden Knights, the Army Golden Knights. They would come in and they would say, "Hey, I want my canopy to open it this way, and I want it to pop this way, and I want the brakes to come out at this point." And I'm just sitting there going, "Okay," and you pack it the best way, and but it was a cool experience. I got to meet a lot of cool folks, but it was that was a you wouldn't think it's stressful, but that's a big stressful job, as a young guy.
No, that sounds very stressful to me. Yeah, I don't think I would like to do that at all. Just because, yeah, I would honestly, not that it ever even would happen, but just the thought that it could happen. It just seems so.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing about going skydiving that people are worried about. It's just what if your parachute doesn't open? That's obviously the jumping out part isn't as bad as like as long as the parachute opens. But if it doesn't, geez, that's yeah, I wouldn't do that. I don't think I would do that. But well, I guess when you're young, they go, "Hey, we're gonna pay you $6 an hour," and you're like, "Sold, I'll do anything." Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think it was something like that. Six
yeah,
or $8,
it was
yeah, an
6 or 8 bucks.
hour.
Yeah, that was always yeah. If
Mhm.
you could get $8, oh, yeah, that's it. I'll jump out of the plane for $8.
I'll pack them all day, right?
That's right. That's right. Okay, well, give us the Chris recommendation of the week. Okay, now this can be anything that you want the audience that needs to check out. Okay, this can be a book, a podcast, TV show. What should we be? What should we be checking out this week?
I tell you what, one of the first things that comes to mind is it's a book, but it's a study by John C. Maxwell called "The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership," and it is a really powerful tool and study about leading from the front. I know there's like tons of leadership stuff out there, and people have all their favorite books or things they've listened to, but this one's a really good one. And it really just it's unique in the fact that you kind of go in and you grade yourself before you start the study and or the read, and you grade yourself on all these different levels of how you think that you lead in either in your organization or personally in your life. And it's crazy because by the time you get through it, you actually see the gaps that you need to grow in. And I just think it's powerful for growth because managers manage, but leaders create other leaders. And anyway, I don't want to give away the whole thing, but I just think that's my recommendation. Anything by John C. Maxwell, but definitely the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is it's a good one for sure.
Okay. All right. So that's okay. That's our required reading. So I may have to check that out because I'm on the 75-day challenge. I don't know if people have heard. It's called 75 Hard, and it's like an extreme challenge. It's like really hardcore. I've done it before, and then my whole family's on it. My wife, my daughter, my son. We're all doing it together, and they were like they wanted to try it. So they're doing a really great job at it. But one of the things about the challenge, it's a lot of physical stuff, working out and drinking a gallon of water and doing all this stuff. But it also requires you to read 10 pages of nonfiction each day. So yeah, it's good to have a book a good book recommendation. So I'm getting toward the end of the book I'm reading currently. So I'm gonna need something to close out the 75 days. Oh, we have a question from
Is
the
that
chat. Say again.
Oh, I was gonna say on that 75 hard, is that the one where like if you have to stay with it or you start all over type of thing?
Yes, yes, that is the thing. So it's 75 days. You do five. It's technically 6 things every day. One thing is you don't drink alcohol for 75 days. I don't drink alcohol anyways, so I don't think about that one, but that's one of them. And I know a lot of people, that's like their hang up point, because I tell them, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. You can't drink for 2.5 months. And they go, oh no, I'm out. That's their breaking point there. But no, but yes, so it's 75 straight days of doing all the stuff. And if you miss any of the one of the 6 things on any day, say you're on day 43 and you forget to, you don't drink your full gallon of water, then the next day is day 1. So it keeps you super locked in, because you just, the threat of resetting is so great that you're like, oh my gosh, it keeps you super focused and really thinking about it. But yeah, some of the stuff they got you doing each day it's kind of a lot, but it does keep you super focused and really gives you, it's an extreme challenge. And plus, a lot of challenges are 30-day challenges, but this one being 75 days, like 2.5 months of really kind of locking in and making yourself be dedicated to it. So it's fun. I like doing it, and this is technically my 3rd time to do it. Hey, we did get a question from the chat here, and they want to know, did you ever go skydiving when you had that skydiving job?
No, I always wanted to, but I was so busy while I was there packing chutes that I never did. And I wanted to as a young guy, right? And I wanted to do all the fun, crazy stuff and flips and all the things that you do up there. I don't want to now.
No, yeah, that's over.
I
It's
just
that's
don't want
sale.
to
That's
now.
yeah, one of my favorite movies. I just love it. It's like the perfect bad. It's like a good bad movie. There's like bad and there's good bad, and this is good bad. I think it's the quintessential good bad movie. It's like the example of what a good bad movie is. It's Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. And I don't know if you remember this one. It's like I think from the 90s, but
A long time ago,
they're
yeah.
skydiving. They're like surfers, skydivers. They're bank robbers. Of course, yeah, of course. That's why there's a movie, because they're bank robbers, and it's an amazing movie. It's so great. But that's my recommendation of the week. Okay, Chris is telling you about leadership books, and I'm saying go watch this dumb movie because it's so awesome. It's just like yeah, it's so good. But they do skydiving is like a big part of the movie and all that stuff. So yeah. So so the chat saying, why jump out of a perfectly good plane, which is that's a good.
And I agree with that. These guys would come in and they would dive in, barefoot, right? And there was a pond way out in this field, and we'd all gather around this pond, and they would come in with their brake toggles and they'd balance out, and they would barefoot ski. You're thinking, I can't remember all the numbers, but 120, 130 miles an hour or more, you're free falling out of this plane, and then you got one shot at it. And then what they would do is they'd set a case of beer or something, a case of Cokes or something, whatever, at the end of the pond, and whoever could land on top of that without knocking it over, then they'd win, like, whatever bet they made. These guys are crazy, man. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, you do have to be a little crazy, to be into it. That's my thing. I'm worried. Like, I don't need any more hobbies. Like, I'm worried I'd do it once and think it's the best, and then I would just be like, living that skydive life and just be like always doing it. So it's like, as long as I don't do it once, then I won't get sucked into the into the world. But there are places around here that do it. Actually, not too far from where we're at right now that do it. So, all right. So let me ask you this. Okay. So in the world of I always ask this. What would we be surprised to know about the world of the Polarity Networks? Tell us what do we need to know about that? What would be surprised?
Well, there's a technology that's been around for a little while, but it's not super well known outside of our little circles. But it's air-blown fiber, and so there's a lot of companies that do structured cabling and outside plant, inside plant, optical fiber, and whatnot. But kind of what sets us apart is we actually do air-blown fibers, where we take micro tubes. So think of them as like drinking straws, and we put them in the ground inside conduit between locations. And we actually use high pressured air or high pressured nitrogen, and we jet the fiber optic cable through these little tubes. And so it's a really cool technology. It's starting to make a lot more traction in the U.S. It's pretty much how Asia and Europe have been doing it for a long time, but it makes a lot of sense with the greater needs for more bandwidth, bigger, faster, better, smaller space, and it's a really cool technology. So I would say that's one thing we've kind of really dug deep in to become the subject matter experts in the field on air blown fiber. Another thing that we do that's a little bit different is we try to turnkey most of this stuff. So we partner with directional drilling companies, and they come in and do a lot of the directional boring. So we've done that under the Trinity River. We can go under lakes and roadways and things like that. And so we'll build out all of our pathway, put these micro tubes in, and then jet that fiber between locations. And it's just kind of a way to do something a little bit different than the next folks, you know?
Okay, no, that's. I think if you're in that space where that like applies to what you're needing to know, then that's good to know. Okay, but okay, so those are the questions. You're off the hot seat now, okay? But don't get too comfortable, okay? Because now we're going into a segment, okay, called horsing around. Okay, so we got Chris Campbell, so we got to do some horsing around. Here we go. Horsing around with Chris Campbell. We got the custom intro. Let me get you all squared up here in the thing. Get myself all squared up. All right, so here's what we're doing. Okay, you ready? We're gonna test your horse knowledge. Okay.
Okay.
Putting you on the spot. Here we go.
I will say with this disclaimer, I'm not an expert on the equine science, but I'll do my best.
Well, let's see. I don't know. See, I don't know anything. So when I pulled up this little quiz, I don't know if these are hard questions, easy questions, no brainers. Okay, but I did think of this. So you get bonus points. These are multiple choice. So it's going to help you out. We're going to spot you as the multiple choice. Okay. But if you can get it without needing the multiple choice, then you get the bonus. Okay, so there's 10 questions here. Okay, question number 1. A male horse is called what?
Well, your question is a young male horse. Is a two-part answer.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes. So a young male horse, uncut, uncastrated, is a stud, whereas a castrated horse is a gelding.
Okay.
A gelding.
Well, so the 4 that they have here is Joey, Colt, Calf, and Fawn.
Let's go with Colt.
Okay, I bet that's probably the one they're looking for. And when I click on a Colt, it says "Bravo, you are correct." Okay, so now you know the level of the horse questions here. All right, so the next question, we're skipping question 2. It's a weird question. Which of the following breeds of horse come only in black? Oh, I forgot to not give you the question. So it's either quarter horse, however you say that. I'm not going to mispronounce it. Friesian?
This is where you're going to embarrass me live in front of all these people.
Front of everybody. I don't know. I don't know if these are hard or easy.
Well, I tell you what, a process of elimination. So I have had thoroughbreds and I've had quarter horses, and they all come in many different colors. So
now we're down
we
to
got
just
the
2.
Straightener or the Friesian. I'm going to go with Friesian because I don't know.
Okay. Oh, 2 for 2. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. You know what? Let's see. There we go. The audience is in the corner. Okay. Mares are female horses over what age?
Oh, goodness.
How old do you have to be a
I just
mare?
always thought probably 2, I would think.
Okay. So the options are 2, 7, 4, and 14 years old.
Let's roll with 2 because I think that's when they can start breeding again. I have no idea.
Oh, it says 4.
4. Okay. 4. I learned something today.
We're all learning here. We are all learning. Okay. So what is the Gypsy Cob or Tinker Horse breed also known as? Are any of these familiar?
I don't even know what you just said.
It could
I
be
have no idea.
A Pinto, American Cob, Irish Cob, or however you say that.
You know, I like corn on the cob, but that answer is not up there.
That's American Cob, probably.
Hey, let's do this. Why don't you just randomly pick one and let's see where it lands?
I'll go American Cob. So close, it was Irish Cob. Okay. It was one of the Cobs. You were in Cob. You had it close. Okay, so let's say, question number 6 out of 10. The Mustang is originally descended from horses brought to North America from where?
I want to say Spain. I think the Spanish brought it.
So here's your choices: England, Spain, Italy, and France. You're saying Spain?
Yeah.
Let's go with it. You got it. Nailed it. You got it. Spain it is. All right. Got another one. Okay, all right, here we go. A little quick ad there. All right, a horse should be how old before people start jumping on the back of it?
Well,
What
I
do
don't
you?
know what's in your answers, but we always did 2 years old. Their back's strong enough at 2 years old.
Okay, so
So
so the options are uh, 2 years old, 10 years old, 7 years old, 1 month old. So you're saying 2 years old.
that's what we always went by.
All right, let's see. 2 years old. Way to go. He got it again. All right. All right. Well, you're doing pretty good. I think you've only missed one so far. So doing pretty good. All right. How many toes does how do you say this word? Przewalski?
I would think so. I've never heard of that before.
Oh, Przewalski. Okay, well then you're guessing that, or maybe not. How many toes does that kind of horse have on each foot?
Horses have hooves, so I don't know about toes,
Yeah.
but there's this little thing that's kind of on the inside of their arms, and it's called a chestnut. And they say that it was something that was a toe that never developed. So if that's the case, I've only seen 4 on a horse, so I'm just going to guess and say if that's what they're talking about.
Okay, so your options are 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're
But
gonna go.
go back to your question. It was asking how many on each foot.
Yep.
Okay, let's go 2 because maybe they got 2 of those little chestnuts on there or something.
Nice work. There we go. All right, another win. Okay, you're nailing it. Okay, you're nailing it so far. All right, okay, so here it is. What were the most common war horses of the Middle Ages? And I've already given you the options here: Arabian, Belgian, Frisian, and Hanoverian. I'm sure I butchered all those pronunciations.
The Hanoverians, I'm not for sure. The Belgians, if you were needing some power, I mean that's a big animal. That's one of the biggest. They're big like the Clydesdales and all that. The Arabians were fast, so I guess it depends on what you needed for battle. I don't know. Let's go with Hanoverians just because I don't know.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so
Oh,
Belgian. They were going Belgian
Belgian.
on that one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, so you're still. That's only 2 misses so far. We're at question 10 here. This is the final question. Okay, on horsing around. We're here. If you're just joining us, this is the Founders Club with your host Jeff Jarrett, and today's guest is Chris Campbell from Polarity Networks. And in addition to doing network infrastructure, okay, he also is a Fort Worth original. Okay, this guy is the real deal. He's that cowboy hat. He's not just all hat and no cattle. Some people say, "Oh, yeah, this guy's all hat and no cattle." Okay, this guy he's a horse owning guy, and so we're putting his horse knowledge to the test. This is the final question here. What is the fastest recorded speed of a racehorse? Is it 25 miles an hour, 32, 60, or 43 miles per hour?
Man, I'm gonna go with 43.
43. Here we go. The final question.
It's a guess.
Boom, he got it. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. There we go. Chris Campbell. He went 8 for 10, okay? And that is not bad. That is not bad. So congratulations, sir.
Am I qualified? I guess I'm qualified now based on this quiz.
That's right. Yeah, your horse cred, you maintained and gained even more horse cred within the within the community. All right. Well, that was horsing around. Now we're moving turning the page here to some serious. Let's talk a little serious business. All right, and we're back here. Now, listen, if you are just joining us, this is the Founders Club Live. We are live, so you can jump in that chat. And if you have any questions for Chris, throw them in the chat. Again, this is a live show. We want you guys to be part of the community, part of the conversation, and that's why we've gone to the live format, because we want to hear from you guys, and we want to make this a community event each week, each Tuesday at noon. We're live here on YouTube, and we're also simulcasting on Facebook, so you can jump into those comment sections and be part of the show. Today's guest is Chris Campbell. He is the founder and CEO, president, I don't know what the official word is, of Polarity Networks. And so we just got done horsing around, and where he went 8 for 10 in a random horse trivia question from the internet, from what was I was gonna shout them out so we use their thing. Trivia quiz. I'm sorry, triviawiz.com. But now we're turning the page to a little bit of serious business talk because, hey, as entrepreneurs and people that are starting brands, running brands, or thinking about maybe starting a brand, we want to get inside the minds of these folks who have done it. Chris, you just celebrated 10 years. We were just talking before the show started. Tell us just a little bit about what it means to be celebrating 10 years in this game.
Well, just a little correction. We are actually going into our 10th year, so
Oh, okay.
August will be the official.
Oh, never
the
mind.
official
No,
date.
never mind. Well, this is never going to work. I mean, only 9 years, please. Okay. Well, what
Yeah.
is it? Same question. To be in it this long, 9 years is a major thing too. So tell us about that.
Well, just because I'm a faithful person, I have to give God the glory on that one
Amen.
because there's been a lot of, there's a lot of crusts and troughs. It's feast or famine at times, and there's been a lot that I couldn't do on my own. I have a business partner, Reese Averett. I think I shouted out to him earlier, and so it literally takes both of us being equally yoked in our faith and our beliefs, spiritually, but also we're equally yoked in business. I mean, we have the same ideas and the same agreement of where we're going to take the company, what we do. We consult with each other on every decision, and I think that's been kind of some secrets to success for us. There's a lot of companies where folks have kind of pulled back and forth like a tug of war of ideas, and you kind of just land on a few things. There's Reese there. I see his
Look at
face
this.
popping
Look at
up.
the smiling cowboy right here.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
he's got a hat.
He's got the
So
hat.
he's
I know.
he's
I'm the only one without a hat. Yeah.
so,
I gotta upgrade my hat game.
yeah, we need to get you one for sure, man.
I'm
But
down for it. My wife would probably
just
be about it.
well, then we'd have to put you on a horse, and then you'd have to take a horse quiz, and we
Okay.
need to do one with
Okay.
you,
All right. Okay. All right.
right?
I feel like this is good peer pressure though. Try new things. I like trying new things.
But yeah, it's just been we've had a lot of good, and we've had some stressful times. We've had some highs and lows, but all of it has just been growth experience, and so I don't know where specifically you'd like to get me in to dive in deeper because I can talk for 5 hours. So
Yeah, no,
you just
no,
asked me.
I do know that about Chris. You ask him a question, and
Yes.
you might get an answer. So just hold on. Let me ask you this: what made you decide to go into business for yourself? Like when you first started working for yourself, what was that kind of preempting thing that made that go?
Well, I guess just from a young age, I've always had this entrepreneurial like spirit about me. There's just kind of a think outside the box, go against the grain with a reason. I've kind of got that bet the farm mentality, taking risks and just seeing where you land, all within reason, of course. But that's just kind of how my personality is. I've always made decisions like that, and so to kind of sit in a corporate um, you know, environment for me was always hard. Like the coming in and leaving the same time every day. Like it just never really felt good to me. And so I guess I always had that itch.
Wow,
And
Mustang.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And so that's just and I tried this before and it worked out all right and was able to sell that first company. And I kind of got back into the corporate thing again, just because of some needs that we had at the time. But slowly but surely, that entrepreneurial blood starts flowing through your veins, and you just realize that I'm never going to be happy unless I can do it for myself or with another business partner, and we can just get out there because I don't like ceilings. I'm a free space guy. I like to have room to stretch out and grow,
Yeah.
and so I guess that's kind of what made me want to do it.
It's kind of like I agree with you 100% on everything you just said, especially like having done this, working for myself for so long now, the idea of going back to like a corporate job and 9 to 5, it just I feel, I couldn't imagine it. I've just been like I was saying, like the wild Mustang kind of thing. It's like, getting back in the pen, it just would never, I just wouldn't work. I don't think. I just don't could imagine. I would be a terrible employee. I would be like unemployable as, as an employee now, just having worked for myself for so long. I was going somewhere with this. I forgot what it was. So when I first started talking, I had a point, and I don't know what it is now, but listen. The point was going to be that ultimately I'm unemployable. I can't work for anyone else. It is kind of a bit of a calling. Oh, this is what I was going was. Once you've done it, you can't not do it. It's like I don't know if this is true, but in movies, like, the wild animal that gets a taste for human blood, it's like, once you get the taste for human blood, you can't go back to, eating non-humans. But I feel like that, honestly, that is kind of like what it's like to be an entrepreneur. It's like once you get a taste for that life, it's hard to go back. Not that no one ever, not that people don't sometimes go back for, there's a lot of reasons to go get the security that, there's a paycheck coming, you get your insurance, you get, all the things that come with working for a bigger corporation. When you're working for yourself, you don't have all those things until you, obviously, if you grow your company to a place where those things, are back in the picture. But that's not, you don't just do it on day two and have all those type of things. But it's just a trade-off. It's a trade-off thing. You eat what you kill. So there's that. You don't know that paycheck, every XYZ day, whatever, every Friday is your payday or whatever it is, every other Friday. When you work for yourself, you don't have that. So how have you managed that? Like, just, I'm going to ask kind of a little personal, but like for yourself and then also for your family, what has that process been? Just the not knowing about where paychecks, how the frequency and the regularity of it.
Well, initially you're laying that foundation, right? It's just like a country boy here, so I have my garden analogy. When you go out and you till up the ground to go plant your tomatoes, you don't walk out there and till the ground up and go, "Where's my tomatoes?" You're laying the groundwork for that garden to grow, and then when you put your seeds in, it takes time, right? See, it takes time for seeds to grow, and not all grow. Some do. Some grow really tall and don't produce any fruit. So it's this constant cultivation of laying the groundwork to get your clientele in, to build your reputation, taking money, reinvesting it back into your business. This is your money machine, right? This is what's producing for you. You've got to take care of it. And but there are times where there's some, you'll get a punch here and there early on when you're building a company, and it'll knock you off your feet at times. And so it has been hard. There's been times where we were, I don't mind sharing since we're talking real here, but we grew this company with investment money. We paid back investors, and we had some really good growth to where we were cash positive and had zero debt as a company. It was a really amazing thing. We did that within the first 5 years. A lot of hard work, and then we had some economic hardships that came through, and within a short period of time, we were $250,000 in debt, hardly any cash in, pipelines falling out from us. And I just went to prayer. I remember just praying to God, like, we're buying a house right now. We're in the middle of this and all this stuff is happening. And, how do I balance this out? And through all of it, I just sought him and his guidance every single day. And there were some tough times where I would literally get in my truck to drive to work, and I would just be like kind of bitter and angry because I felt like, man, we worked so hard for this, to take some steps back. And I would literally have to take each day by day. And I know that sounds cliche, but I would literally get to my desk at work and go, you know what? I kissed my wife and daughter goodbye. I made it to work without getting in an accident. I had a good morning. And then I would go, hey, today I made phone calls and did what I needed to do today and was able to grow a little bit here. I had a good afternoon. And then when I would go home and eat dinner in a warm house and see my wife and my daughter, I had a good evening. And I literally had to break my day up like that. And God literally just kind of poured into me. I had to shut up, get quiet, and get still to listen. But it just thoughts and ideas that he would give to me and poured into my head about how to grow this thing. And it was tough, but we did it. That was years ago. And Now I like to be, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. And I love to sit with other business owners who have kind of gone through or are going through what we did back then. And I love to sit and mentor that because one, it's not me, it's all God, but I went through a really tough position. Reese, my business partner, went through that with me as well. And both of our families, it was a tough time. So yes, we do celebrate the highs, but we also remember from the lows so that we never make any of those mistakes again, or we try to see them coming that we never saw before. So I hope that kind of answers
No,
that
I
question.
I appreciate that. And then one theme that I hear throughout that entire thing is about your faith and about God and about, your Christian kind of beliefs coloring how you do business and how you make your decisions. And it's kind of a lens. I'm the same way. It's a lens that you see everything through, right? And some people don't have that, and so it's kind of foreign. So this isn't necessarily like a Christian podcast, but I am a Christian person, and I'm talking to another Christian person, so it gets a little Christian-y here for just a moment. But I will say this: it does help you get things in perspective, because sometimes you're looking around and you kind of you get overwhelmed, but having that center of faith and knowing that there's a higher power, whatever your faith is, but there's a higher power, and it's more than just you. Is very, I think, strengthening and just gives you something. And I think you talk about mentoring other people, and that being a big part of kind of what you instill into what what they're could look forward to. I guess just talk specifically about the faith component. We'll just get a little Christian podcast right here real quick, okay? Talk about the role that faith plays in your decision making, managing your team, and that kind of thing, and just in your company in general.
Well, one, it's I like to think of this as a company that we've been given to be good stewards of. So when I look at it, it's not my company or Reese's company or our company together. It's a company that God has tasked us to be good stewards of. We operate it in that fashion. So that comes down to our ethics and morals and values. And yeah, we do things a little different because of that. And we've created this internal environment or culture that's rooted in that. So do you have to be a born again Christian to work at Polarity Networks? No, but we have values and the culture that is important to us, and that allows us to be who we are. So one good thing about being an entrepreneur is that I don't have to fit into the some of the cultural norms that or specifics that are happening today.
Yeah,
Whether
whichever way
you
the
agree
wind's
with
blowing.
exactly, and so by having that faith as our center, that's also a compass. So how would you go and navigate uncharted waters or the wilderness if you didn't have a compass or a map? So if we use our faith and our guiding principles as that light, right? Then when we come up on hardships, hey, look, life is tough, business is tough, but that if you have that torch that's going out in front of you in the dark woods, it's lighting your way, and you follow that down the safe pathway, you're going to land on solid ground. And that's really, uh, I would say, a lot of the success that Reese and I have had is not so much dollars and cents that's been dropped into bank accounts, but it's been life lessons that we've learned that it's like, okay, we're having to use our faith and trust in that. Trust is hard sometimes, and especially when it's a supernatural trust. But by following that, we call it the spirit man, the Holy Spirit, right? The thoughts that go into our head when we pray and ask for that guidance. Those are not our thoughts, and those thoughts guide us into. And I know it sounds like I'm talking in circles and everything, but by doing what's right, it may suck sometimes, right? Um, from a worldly perspective, but when you're always on the path of doing something right, whether it's, hey, our guys screwed up something down here and it's really expensive. Not knocking my team, they're good guys, but we're humans and we make mistakes. Owning that and handling it correctly, you build the trust with your clients, and then before long that little problem is gone. Even if it was like super expensive, that problem is gone, but you handled it right, and forever people will remember your values from that.
Yep. You're right. And I'm always a little leery. This is sad. Okay, this is sad but true. Is that if I'm working with a client and I do marketing, so if you're new here, I work marketing agency and work with building branding and websites and videos and all kinds of stuff for brands. And what I've noticed, it's so sad, but what I've noticed is if I'm working with a business owner who's like super Christian-y and like very wants like a Christian flag in their logo and that kind of stuff, the higher they fly that flag, the more less than favorable relationships I've had with those clients from a integrity standpoint. I'm trying to be as nice as possible. I'm trying to word this the right way. But basically, if they're really out front with that, sometimes as a business, they don't really have a Christ-like business practice. But what I love about you specifically and Reese specifically and the Polarity thing is you guys don't talk about it, you be about it, and I feel like that's really, it's true. You don't beat people over the head with, we're a Christian company and all that kind of stuff. But when I deal with, when people deal with you guys, they get that sense, and that's kind of built into the organization. But I just want I don't really have a follow-up question for that. I'm just pointing it out and just kind of want to say that I appreciate that about you guys and about your testimony as businessmen and as leaders.
Well, thank you. And you're right. Like a lot of the quote unquote Bible thumpers that you see out there, it's dog and pony show. It's smoke and mirrors and lights. And I always just kind of looked at how a person was, that's the true testament. How do they do business? How do they manage their family? How do they treat their wife? How do they treat their kids? How do they treat the cleaning staff? How do they leave the shopping carts in the middle of the parking lot? Right, that's like governance test. Yeah. But no, we're not a church, and I'd like to think that we're a ministry in a way, because there are times where I feel like we're the conduit by which God has used us in ways where someone's having a hard time, or it could be literally anything, just someone needing to be saved. It might be a word of encouragement. It could be anything. And we just see that some things have aligned supernaturally, and we just have been obedient to that. I think we need more podcast talk shows to go through a lot of those details, but what I'm saying is like, I'm not over here flying a Christian flag. I don't have crosses on the doors of our trucks. The light that we shine is who we are inside, and then it works in that way. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell you I'm a Christian. You'll know that we are by the way that we operate.
Correct. Yes, sir. You talked about how people behave with other people, wait staff and family and so forth. It reminded me, I heard this a good one. It was like a TikTok, and I forget who the CEO was, but one of these famous CEOs, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or one of these guys, had this thing when they hired people in the early days. They had their first office and they had like a little kitchen area. He'd always make a point to go out and get like a cup of coffee for this person that they were, hiring, like a washable one, not like a disposable one, like a mug. And they would have their coffee, and at the end of the discussion, he specifically would watch to see what they did with that mug. Did they offer to wash it and put it up, or what should I do with this, or where should this go, or would they just leave it there and walk out? And he goes, that was like a big part of his decision-making process, is just watching specifically how do they, handle this. So I think that was kind of interesting, just like getting inside the mind of successful people and how they observe and what they notice in people. But let me ask you this: you work with a team. So some entrepreneurs, if they're a web designer, a lot of professions, you kind of work solo. Solopreneurs is the word they come up with. But in your world, you have to have a team of folks that go out and do all the stuff, and trucks flying around everywhere. Talk a little bit about two-part question is, when did you know you first needed to start adding in team members to make this thing go? And then talk a little bit about managing teams, and what do the folks need to know about that dynamic of running a business?
Yeah, sure. So the first part is that I think there's a quote unquote curse of the entrepreneur that's like, we still keep tabs on initially you keep tabs on how many paper clips you got in the office, and you're out here running multi-million-dollar jobs, but you got your finger on who's ordering the toner for the printer, right? And I think that we try to wear so many hats. I don't know if I really broke down and psychoanalyzed it, but it would seem to me, if I were to take a step back from that and go and look at it from the outside, it's we don't want to fail. And so if we're constantly in control of every little aspect of the company, from the books to the trash service coming in at night, then nothing can happen to us if we're always in control, or we'll know if something's about to happen, right? And that mentality, it's kind of a sickness, because you're so suppressed by wearing 100 hats that you're really not able to grow and do what it is that you found as a passion to start that company from the first place. And so it wasn't until I met a gentleman who started a large telecom company, Verizon, and I got to talk
Heard
with
of it?
him, and I just said, yeah,
I've heard of that one.
and basically, yeah, and basically, I just asked him. I said, what advice would you give an entrepreneur like me starting out? I mean, you've hired 5,000 people at a time and fired 2,500 at a time. I mean, you've done global business, and these words rang really true to me, as I really dove into thinking about that and putting more time into that over the years. But he said this. He said, Chris, hire people smarter than you and manage them well. And yeah, again, sounds cliche, these little smart little business things that we say and hear, but that is true. I don't have to go have that PhD. I didn't have to go to college XYZ and get that degree. I just need to hire those people and build an amazing team around me and then treat them well. A lot of these people aren't entrepreneurs. They don't want to own their own company. They have a passion about what they do, and they're really good at it. So when I started to find people smarter than me and bring them in and treat them well and treat them like partners in what we do, because it's true, um, that's when a lot of growth started happening, and it let us work on the company instead of in the company constantly.
All right, very good.
And
Go ahead.
your second question, I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you answered both. That was it. I was just about managing teams. So no, you nailed it. So what's next for Polarity Networks? Where are we heading in the next 5 years or next year or just in the near future?
Well, without sharing all of our secrets, we've kind of
Yeah, breaking
diversified,
exclusive. Yeah, we want the scoop. Okay,
open the vault and look
that
inside type of thing.
that's right.
We're just always growing technology wise. The technology is in our field. It just takes off, and if you're not staying on top of it, it can get away from you, because you get comfortable and complacent. So we are, as a team, we're always trying to learn that next thing. And it's not just necessarily looking a year ahead. We try to look, what do we think is going to happen in the next 5 years or so, and then we try to mitigate any risks that we see. We try to grow ourselves in various areas. One thing that we've recently gotten in and loved it is intelligent lighting systems. So forever we've just been network infrastructure and fiber optics and structured cabling when it comes to network infrastructure, but the world's moving to this green stuff, or LED lights and all the things that can be not just used on a desk plugged into a USB port, but warehouses, big, massive warehouses with super bright lights and all the things. So we're taking that same optical fiber technology and low voltage cabling into plugging into volt server equipment that regulates all this out. And so it's just another area we've tapped into. People ask me all the time, what's your vertical? Well, we're infrastructure, network infrastructure. There really is no vertical. We could choose a campaign vertical to go after and focus in. But if you're a business nowadays, you need technology to run off of. You've got a bank account. You're connected to the internet somehow, and so we are the ones that put those roads out there for you to drive on. So it's just where to go next. I know back in 2008, I had a tough time, because as we were kind of going into that economic crash, I had a lot of eggs in a couple of baskets. And when I saw that part of the commercial industry was starting to kind of hold up, there was one part that was always spending money, and that was the government. They're just really good at it. So
The best.
we've diversified out. Yes. So trying to be economically smart, we balance that out. So if we're ever in a tough time, commercially, we've got the government side that we the government contracts and the things that we do from that sector, and then the private sector, we have that balanced out over here if the government ever took a shift or a step back. So so what's next? Man, I don't know. I'm just like the sky's the limit, and whatever God feels that we can handle, He drops in our lap. You know.
Right on. Right on. All right. Well, Chris, man, thank you so much. We have done our hour here, and I don't want to keep you all day, but man, we could talk about this forever. But I really appreciate your time today and coming on. Where do people find you guys? What do they need to go to find Chris and Polarity and so forth?
PolarityNetworks.net. All of our information's there, and yeah,
All the
we got a really
socials
cool
and everything.
website created.
Eh,
Oh yeah, and we got a really cool website created by somebody that might be sitting next to me here.
There we go. Yes, I heard your web
There
designer
it is.
is very smart and very handsome. So that's just what I've heard. I was just this. I don't know if you can, if you can confirm those reports, but
Let's see. Does the finger? Yeah, right. This guy, right
Hey,
there.
oh, and then I do, and then we make it a yeah. Okay, sorry, I missed the memo.
Yeah. So there's a delay.
Yeah, a little delay. The delay is right here. This is where the delay is. Oh man. Well, no, seriously, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you, and we're gonna wrap it up real quick here with some closing thoughts. So there goes Chris. That was an awesome guest, and hopefully you learned a little bit from Chris about just managing teams and when it's the right time to do your thing. So if we can encourage you, we want to do that here on the Founders Club. This is about a place where we can come and be encouraged from other people who have done the journey. They're on it. So you got a guy here that was coming up on 10 years of being in business for himself and his company. So hopefully we got to learn a little bit from that. Again, this is a brand new podcast. We're just starting out, been a couple months in on it, and we really value all the feedback. All like, subscribe, share it, and just be part of the community. We really thank you guys for jumping in and just being part of that. But just as we go, just showing the love and sharing it out is just absolutely huge. So my name is Jeff Jared, and I am the Founders Club president. And we do this every Tuesday at noon where we go live. And now you can find us on all your podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, and so forth. So like, subscribe, and follow along. And we will see you guys next Tuesday at noon on Facebook and YouTube right here in the Founders Club.